everything you know about wine is a lie. Just kidding. But I'm sure you still believe in a few of these common misconceptions, so today I'll be clearing them up for you. Let's get started. The first one is something that, as someone that serves wine professionally, drives me crazy. Fruity does not equal sweet. Too many times I've had someone try something like an Italian Pinot Grigio and then be like, oh, this is way too sweet. I don't like sweet wines. While they're entitled to dislike the wine for any reason they want, the fact is that wine is not sweet. Sweet means there's residual sugar from the grape juice that wasn't fermented into alcohol. So dry doesn't necessarily mean it has tannins that dry out your mouth. It just means that the wine has between 0 and about 9 grams per liter of residual sugar. Humans can't even perceive sugar at less than 2 grams per liter, and 9 grams per liter won't really taste sweet for someone that grew up drinking sodas and juices that are well over 100 grams per liter of sugar. What you think you're tasting as sweetness is just ripe fruit flavors. Ripe fruit is usually sweet, so your brain is just connecting the two. This is one of the reasons that Riesling gets such a bad rap. Too many people are like, I don't like Riesling, Riesling's sweet, Riesling's a sweet wine, I don't like sweet wines. Yes, some places make Rieslings off dry or sweet, like Washington State and a lot of places in Germany. But Alsace in France and the Finger Lakes in New York make killer dry Rieslings that will absolutely shatter your expectations. The best comparison I can give you is tea or coffee. Green tea brewed on its own is totally dry. There's no residual sugar in it and it's gonna taste dry. This peach black tea also has no sugars or artificial sweeteners in it. So if I brew it without sugar, it will be just as dry as this one, but it'll taste fruitier. If you don't like fruit-forward wines, that's totally fine. It just means you'll probably prefer an oaked Chardonnay to a fruity Pinot Grigio. But that doesn't mean you don't like sweet wines. In fact, a lot of California Chardonnays actually have more residual sugar in them than New Zealand Sauvignon Blancs. They just taste more like butter and vanilla than passion fruit and guava. And definitely don't give up on varietals like Riesling or Viognier just because you think all of them are sweet. In the wine world, there are always exceptions to the rule. The reason I think the proper definition of sweet is so important is another misconception. For whatever reason, a lot of people seem to think that saying you like dry wines makes you more sophisticated and more experienced of a wine drinker. But like, why? It's like saying you like Coke instead of Sprite. It doesn't make you better, it makes your palate different. It's not even like dry wines are always better quality than sweet wines. A lot of the best and most prized wines in the world are sweet dessert wines. So any snobs out there need to get off their dry horse and just let us all drink what makes us happy. This next misconception is a big one. Sulfites are not giving you headaches and you're not allergic to them. Sulfites get such a bad rap because they're on wine labels and they sound scary, but honestly they're a winemaker's best friend. Sulfites kill bacteria to preserve wines that would otherwise develop off flavors or just straight up turn to vinegar. They're also used in almost everything you eat that isn't prepared fresh, like lunch meats and salad dressings and canned soup and especially dried fruits. Plus, white wines actually use more sulfites than reds because they don't have tannin that acts as a natural preservative. So if you've had any of those and been fine, then you can stop blaming sulfites for your hangover. Sure, about 1% of the population does have an actual allergy to sulfites, but it's usually people with asthma, and the reaction is usually like a wheezing, tongue swelling type thing, not just a headache. The actual cause of red wine headaches is highly debated, and someday I'll go into the whole sciencey thing behind that. But for now, the best advice I can give you is to drink a bottle of water for every bottle of wine. I mean glass. Glass of water, glass of wine. The last thing I want to clear up is what makes wine quality. We touched on this in the price video that I'll link to in the description, but today I want to address some specific myths. First, all aged wines are not automatically better than all young wines. Some wines with a lot of tannin and acid do get better with age, like reds from Bordeaux or Barolo from Italy. But a wine that's light and uncomplicated when it's young isn't going to magically become interesting and complex when it ages. Without the preserving properties of tannin and acid, the wine's just gonna go bad. Next, I heard one the other day that the size of the dent in the bottle is somehow indicative of the quality of the wine. The dents in the bottom are usually just for structural integrity and stability. And can you imagine a winemaker bringing a sample of their wine to the wine bottle manufacturer so that they can taste it and ensure that it's quality so that they can give them a dented bottle? No. Lastly, containers. Yes, a lot of the world's best wines are in glass bottles with real cork, but they don't have to be. And some of the reasons they still do this have to do with this weird vicious cycle we have going on. The average consumer associates quality wine with real corks and glass bottles. So wine producers want to use glass bottles and real corks to prove their wine is quality, which confirms what the consumer believed, and so on and so forth. But that's a load of baloney, because screw caps and vacuum sealed bags actually preserve the wine better and make it less likely to get ruined. Plus, glass bottles are heavy and difficult to ship, which adds to the cost and makes them less environmentally friendly. This is one of the reasons I love the Australian wine industry. Many Australian producers use containers other than bottles and closures other than corks, even for quality wines like the Cellar Reserve dessert wine from Penfolds that has a screw cap on it. Their average consumer doesn't care quite as much about looking fancy, they're more concerned with the wine. And they're right, it's what's on the inside of a bottle that counts. If you've heard any other wine myths that you aren't sure are true, comment them on this video or post them on my Facebook page, and I would love to sort them out for you. These days, you can't always believe what you hear or what you read, but you should always be able to believe what you drink. Cheers, winos.